Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Joffrey Noodle Legs here today. Today I've got another Noodle film review. Today we are looking at David Earl in Brian and Child. Sorry about the glare on the box, guys. So this is just a normal sort of Blu-ray edition of the film. So it's nothing sort of like unique or no sort of like art cards or anything like that, which is a shame because that would have been really cool. But yeah, this is just a standard Blu-ray. So I'm going to give you a little synopsis of this film. It is a comedy film based around this guy who lives in like a little cottage in the middle of like nowhere. Brian, who's pretty much a lonely sort of guy with no sort of friends sort of thing. So at the beginning of the film, he sort of gives us an introduction to himself.
Topsy-turvy in my life, and I put my hand out, I struggled. But, you know, I thought to myself, come on, Brian, time to give yourself a kick up the bottom. Get busy. I just started making stuff. Inventions, I guess. Any little idea I had, I just made. You know, stuff I build in for everyone, but that's all right by me.
So that's Brian. He's sort of like he's like an sort of eccentric sort of like inventor building these sort of like useless sort of like inventions. Something to do with his time, I guess. And then he goes on to give us a little tour of where he lives.
Oh. The next door. There we have it. A kitchen. That's a cabbage bin. I have a bin specifically for them, so I eat a lot of cabbages. This is my infamous inventions pantry. It's actually a cowshed. Pinecone bag. It's basically just a plain bag with pine cones glued onto it. Ping pong, piggy pong, ping pong pie. This is basically a puzzle I came up with and tried to sell to Selfridges.
So he makes some really obscure sort of like inventions, like a bag with pine cones sort of stuck on it with glue, and he calls it a pine cone bag. And it's just like bizarre stuff. And then you sort of like see him again, and he sort of wheels out his latest invention.
So this is my new project. It's a cuckoo clock. It's not your traditional idea of a cuckoo clock. I thought I'd do something a bit different. It's a flying cuckoo clock. So whenever anyone in the village wants to know the time, they can look up in the air and I'll be there. Flying around on it. What time is it? There's Brian. 2:30. There or thereabouts.
So he's built this flying grandfather clock, so he can fly around and tell people the time. And you're wondering if it works.
6 p.m, I should imagine. Wish me luck. Come on. Get back! Get back! It's on fire! It's on fire! Get back! It's on fire! Get...
Yeah, so obviously it doesn't work. It wasn't never going to work, you know. But this Brian, he's such a lovable character, right? I mean, he's such a nice sort of guy. He's a very sort of a pacifist, I think, and it's really, really cool. I love that about him, in his character in the film. I do love David Earl. He's a fantastic actor and comedian. I absolutely love everything he's been in. And then after them, he goes to the local sort of shop.
Lid's off one of these, June.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring it here then?
Yeah. Go stale, won't they?
Yes, they will. You can have it actually if you like.
No.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Go on, have it.
Thank you.
If you don't mind.
Well,
And while he's at the shop there and stuff like that, we meet the family from hell, because every town's got one, haven't they? And this is like a no no different. There's like a family of bullies, pretty much. So we meet them. Anyway, we then catch up with Brian. And he's at like a sort of like a rubbish sort of dump where he says he finds lots of his like, it's like a gold mine there, he says. But he finds something very interesting there. So after finding that, Brian decides he's going to build a robot. Okay, he says, you know, it's something he wants to do. It's just be someone that can help him out and do all the heavy duties around his little cottage and his little areas and stuff like that. So then he starts to get some bits together to build a robot out of that head and a washing machine.
Very handy. Strong. Fast. Agile. Can help me lift things around the house. I just take inspiration from stuff around me, you know, anything, absolutely anything. That could be his ankle, hand. I'll just look around me and go, what can I use? What can I use?
The film then sort of like visions or like seeing clips of him sort of putting bits together and everything sort of failing and sort of things, just sort of like hammering stuff, etc. Just sort of putting them together. And then in the entrance of the barn, we eventually see Charles.
Doesn't look too bad, does he? Not quite what I had in mind, but I've learned building a robot is much like making a cake. You start off wanting a Victoria sponge, comes out like a blancmange. That's why, because I love blancmanges.
So that's Charles, as you can see. He's made out of like artificial sort of legs and things, and all stitched to like a washing machine. And he's got like that mannequin head body with a wig on. It's crazy, right? And this blue eye. And anyway, so it's time to activate him.
Will you split?
And if you don't succeed, you try again.
Activate. Gave it a good go, didn't I? Unfortunately, didn't work out. That's life, isn't it?
So he has no luck there at all getting Charles to actually work, which is a shame. But there we go. He still built it, which looks really quite strange and cool at the same time. And then it cuts to Brian in the town where we meet a young lady called Hazel. And it sort of becomes Brian's love interest.
Oh.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
So we've met Hazel, and he does a few odd jobs around the town and stuff for people. Brian does. And then one evening he goes back to his cottage and there's a storm. So Brian goes into sort of like the barn bit because he's worried about his robot that he's made, and he hears all sorts of noises coming from there, and it looks like he's got a burglar. So Brian grabs his torch and he chases the burglar outside the barn to look for him, and then we see it's Charles.
Put the cabbage down. I said, put the cabbage down. Water! Water! No, 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 no. You're coming into the house. Yes. Get in. In you go. In there. You sit down. You sit down. You sit down. There. There. Don't you move. Don't you move. Don't you move. No, 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 no. Don't you move. Don't you move. Stay there. Stay there. Don't go anywhere. Don't you move. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Just stay there. You stay there. You stay there. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
So Charles is alive. At the moment, we don't know his name, but obviously Brian's a bit in shock that it's alive. So I think it's probably something like the storm has triggered it off. Brian actually thinks it's the mouse that lives inside the garage or barn, wherever he uses. But anyway, so the next day they start getting to know each other.
Give you a name? Huh? Tony? Oh, we didn't like Tony. Tony the robot? Huh? Clive? No. Huh? Charles? Charles. Charles? Charles. Charles? Charles? Charles. Charles. Charles, you like Charles? Charles Petrescu. You want that name, do you? Charles Petrescu? All right then. I'm Charles Petrescu.
So there we go. That's how he gets his name, Charles. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to tell you, because I am not going to spoil this film for you, because I want you to find out. Because after then, Brian and Charles go on adventures around the sort of like the cottage in the village area, and it's I don't want to spoil any of that for you. So what's going to happen? Is people going to find out about Charles, or is Brian going to keep him a secret? That horrible bully family I told you about, have they got anything to do with this story? And what would this love interest think when she discovers Charles? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of the film? It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the most heartwarming, charming, funny, brilliant films I've seen this year. Absolutely fantastic. I love David Earl, as I keep telling you. I think he's fantastic. He's done a lot of work with Ricky Gervais in a lot of these sort of series like Afterlife and Derek and things like this. So he's in quite a few things with like along that sort of line, and his character's pretty much the same in all the films and all the shows. So it's fantastic though, brilliant. Wow, it's a real brilliant story. I just didn't want it to end, to be honest. That was my only sort of downfall, and I just didn't want it to end. So the positives of the film, the film looks beautiful. It's shot in the most beautiful area of Wales, I believe. North Wales. It's not far, actually, from where I am, because I'm in Yorkshire, but it's probably about an hour away from where I am. It's like at the beginning of sort of Wales, but it's in a beautiful area. Absolutely beautiful. And I love it. And it almost feels like every time I was watching, I think, is that round here? Is this film round here? Because it looks just like round where I live. So I love the environment. I love the visuals. I loved Brian and I loved Charles and I loved Hazel. All three of them were amazing characters. Absolutely fantastic. The film moves at a really good pace. It's extremely innocent, funny. Anyone can watch this. It's a PG. It's a story of loneliness, of imagination. It's a story of love and a story of loneliness finding its other loneliness. So it's like that. It's fantastic. And these two sort of need each other to become stronger, if you like. So it's a really, really cool film. And Charles is so funny because he just wants to go around the world and visit places and stuff, but Brian doesn't want to leave anywhere. And it's really cool. The negatives of the film, it's too short. Too short. I really hope they do a second one. I don't know how long it lasts for. I think it's about an hour and a half. I think it needed 2 hours just to do a bit more sort of like hysterical sort of bits with Charles and some more sort of character building. It was just too short. I just wanted it to go on and on and on. So is that a negative? Probably not. But there we go. I'm going to score this film an essential watch and give it a 10 out of 10. It's a fantastic film. Look at me giving a 10 out of 10 to a non-horror film, eh? But it is brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. That's Brian and Charles, 10 out of 10. Have any of you seen it? Let me know down below if you have. If you haven't, give it a go. It's something a little bit different. It's something that you can watch that's a little bit heartwarming, you know, and it's quite cool. And some of Brian's inventions are quite funny, and some are work. That's all I'm going to say. And it's really, really good. So 10 out of 10. Guys, please check this film out if you get a chance. Until next time, you look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.